Hey guys, Jay here, and welcome to my guide to getting into cosplay for the first time. Alright, so many people have asked me at conventions that aren't cosplayers and would like to get into cosplay how to do so. And I've always had the same answer, and that's just to do it. And that doesn't seem to work. So I'll refer them to this video from now on. So this video is going to be a lot more structured than just my tip videos where I just randomly name off tips to help you guys. This is going to be more of a step-by-step type thing, kind of like a tutorial, but kind of not. So the first part is the event. Make sure you know exactly what dates the event is going to be happening on. If you don't, it's going to make it kind of hard to make your costume in time. So whatever event it is, go on their website or their Facebook or whatever and figure out exactly which days the event's going to be, and then plan your costume making accordingly. So for like me, NewCon and SakuraCon aren't for a while now. NewCon's at the end of the year and SakuraCon is next year. So I don't have to worry about making a costume just yet, but I should at least start something to get it done in time. But Anime PDX is actually next month, and there's actually no way that I'm going to get anything done that I haven't already finished, or that I'm close to finishing at least. So yeah, for this first part, just make sure you know what dates you're going to be attending, and then kind of go 6 months before that, and that should be about a good starting point. So now on to the fun part. So picking a character. This is where it gets kind of hard for some people because there's so many characters. Like me, there's a lot of characters that I want to do. I actually have a large list. I just never really use that list because I keep finding more that I like better. So honestly, there's nothing I can really say here, but in order to do all this, you need to pick the character first. So after you pick your character, the next thing you're going to move on to, and the reason that I'm on this side of the camera, and there's a big blank spot over here, well, I mean a wall, but me not over there, this is where all the pictures are coming in. Anyway, this section is reference gathering. And just like that sounds, you're gathering references. So references could be anything. Google the character name, take screenshots, rewatch in slow motion, all that kind of stuff. Take pictures with your phone if you have to from the TV or something. Anything like that. Just something that you can look at so that you can make whatever it is. I don't know how else to explain a reference image, but I hope you guys know what I'm talking about here. You'll see some flash up, and we're actually talking about Cloud from Final Fantasy Dissidia, and that's the version that I've actually done. Well, I've done quite a few versions of Cloud, but that's my most current version. So since we still have Cloud up on the screen here, we're going to be talking about the plan of attack. And this is where you literally plan your attack. You plan what you're about to do in terms of building and everything like that. So this is the planning stage, and you should probably put all of this in like a 3-ring binder or something, and maybe use those clear sheets that you put artwork in. Those are really good. That's a really solid way to do referencing and all that kind of stuff, especially if you're going to be in the costume contest. That's a really good thing to have, so it doubles as both reference images for them and for you. And they usually ask that you do something like that anyway, but having it for yourself is always good. And you can even use dividers like you did in school for different subjects. You can do it for different characters. Like I could have Cloud as the first one, and then everything behind that up until the next one is all Cloud, and then I could have like Sora or Gohan or something all in there, and I could just have them all in one binder. And you know what? Now that I think about it, I might actually start doing that, because I don't do that, but I do know a ton of other people that do and who recommend doing it. That's why I'm recommending it. So when you start planning out your attack for this, there's a lot of things that you're going to have to do. The main one is looking at details. There are a lot of details that you will probably miss while watching it on TV, due to animation budgets and all that kind of stuff. But if you go look on Google and like Google the name or something, then you might actually see on the official images some details that you missed. So like with Cloud, he does have a couple details that you might not be able to notice in the game, because the game is on PSP, which is a little freaking handheld. It's only like that big, so the screen is really tiny. and it's really hard to see things. So pulling up a reference image, you'll see a lot of things you can actually kind of see in more of the cinematic shots, I guess. They're not really cinematic, I guess, but they're gameplay talking to each other, the gameplay graphics. You can kind of tell that he has the lines in his shirt, but you can't tell whether or not they're lines in his shirt or if it's actual, like a rib knit sweater, which is what it is. So in this image right here, this is actually one of the more cinematic ones that aren't gameplay looking, and you can actually tell that his top, whatever you want to call that, which is, it's actually a sweater, but his top actually looks more like what a rib knit sweater looks like. So that's the kind of things you're going to notice when you look at official artwork over the actual screenshots. So another thing you're going to want to do is know what fabrics are appropriate for what pieces. So for like his shirt, it's a rib knit sweater. Obviously that's a rib knit sweater, you could just go buy that. But they do sell that kind of stuff, and you can find it on eBay and sometimes at Joann's at certain times. It's more of a winter fabric, so you're going to find it more in the winter. But you can go online and find shirts, or sweaters I guess, that are the exact same thing, and that's what I've done for him for the last 3 times that I've bought the top for him. And then obviously looking at his pants, you can see that they're very likely a heavy material, like a canvas type material, more of something that you might see in the brand Dickies, the work pants. They're very, or even Carhartt, things like that. Carhartt might not have the right color because it's like a navy blue and it's not a denim, but it's the same, you know, it's the same idea, that heavy fabric for pants, so that it's just like work pants but really strong, or like construction pants or something. So that's what you're going to want to look for when it comes to pants. The good news about characters like Cloud is that both his top and pants are real. They actually exist in the real world, but some don't. So that makes it a lot easier to buy them, but sometimes they aren't. Also, this doesn't apply to armor, because most armor is going to be metal, and most cons aren't going to allow that. So you have to do something about it, like a compromise. So a lot of people that do armor will use EVA foam and things like that, Warbla. So you're gonna have to figure that one out on your own, what you want to make. Personally, mine were EVA foam and some plastic hose caps for the screws, and then the armband thing, the little bangle thing he has. That's cardboard tubes glued together with the top and bottom, like the top one and the bottom one were both EVA foam wrapped around it to make it thicker, and then I just hot glued spools, like thread spools, onto it. So I had to compromise because I couldn't make those out of metal. It was literally impossible. And then things like the boots, you can easily just find at a thrift store or a Payless. I actually got mine at a Payless, exactly. And then I just made boot covers out of vinyl. So I just picked a color that was close enough to the vinyl, made a pattern for it, and sewed them together. And that's all it really is. And then you're going to also want to look at the wig and see if it's something you can style. So this should be probably near the beginning of your search and your pick a character section. If you can't style the wig, or you don't think you're going to be able to do the wig, make sure you can find someone who can, and that you can afford it before starting a costume. A Cloud wig, if I make it for you, if I commission for you or whatever, if I do the commission basically, it's going to be $100 with shipping and everything like that. That's just what I do personally. So I wrote in my list of other ways you can get these type of things, but I think you guys understand this by now, because I did mention it kind of as like things like thrift stores and whatever. But you can also go on eBay and Amazon, and you actually can order the costume completely on Amazon or eBay or some other site if you really wanted to. But this is more along the lines of making your cosplay. But if you do want to get into cosplay and you just want to buy it, literally just buy it and wear it. That's all you have to do. You don't have to worry about all this planning and stuff like that. And then the obvious choice of making it yourself if you want to do that. Alright, so now we're moving on to the actual attack. This is the construction part of making the costume before you go to the event, all that kind of stuff. So like I said at the beginning, start early because you are going to want to be able to make it before the convention comes. Don't start it like a week before. And yes, I have seen many people complaining online about how horrible it is that they don't have their costume done now. And they were asked when they started it, and they said a couple days ago, and they're like, well, your convention is in 2 days. Why didn't you start it early? Oh, I forgot, I was lazy, something, you know, whatever. It's like, then that's your own fault. So one thing that I always do when buying fabrics is using coupons. So at Joann's, I get coupons for that. At Michael's, I get coupons for that. All that kind of good stuff. And then there are sites, I don't know them, so I'm not going to link you to them because I don't know them, where you can get coupons to other sites to use online, to use the coupons to buy things online. I just, again, don't know where those are. I've just heard about them, so I know they exist, I just can't do anything about it. So if any of you guys know sites that will get coupons to like fabric stores that we can do online, where we can put the code in online and then buy fabric online, go ahead and leave that down in the comments for me, because that'd be awesome. I would love to put something like that in the description so that all the other people have a resource to go to. You're also going to want to look at as many tutorials as you possibly can. Before I started really making things, for cosplay that is, I looked at hundreds of tutorials to make sure that I know what the hell I'm doing. You don't have to really, but it will really help. If you think you can make something on your own and you have an idea in your head, go for it. No one's going to stop you. That's awesome, especially if your idea works out really well. Then it'd be nice to also share that with other people if it's something that's not normally done, but it works. And that's a great idea to share that around, let everyone else know about this new method of doing something. And since this is my channel and I can self-promote all I want, I do tutorials here on my channel, so if you guys want to get to that, the playlist will be in the description below. Obviously, use those reference images that I told you to gather earlier. So if you gather all those reference images, put them in front of you when you're making it, so that you can see how this thing needs to be made. It's a lot harder to put trim on something when you don't know where it's supposed to go. And of course, make sure that it fits. Try the costume on a bunch of times, and make sure that everything is fitting perfectly. Something might be a little too loose, and you have to tighten it. It'd be a really good idea if you knew that, so if you try it on, you can figure that part out. And that also goes if you're buying the costume instead of making it. Make sure that it fits by that early too. Make sure that it fits. If it doesn't, you can send it back for like an exchange or something usually. Because if you can prove that it doesn't fit you, then you're proving that their measurements aren't correct to what they said. So you can send it back usually and get refunds and stuff like that. Alright, and finally the last category, which is the easiest one, and that's to go to the event and enjoy yourself. Alright, so that's the end of this little guide thing. So if this helped you guys, go ahead and hit that like button. That'd be awesome. Subscribe for more, and I'll see you guys later.